Hello and thanks for watching Best Maths Tutors. I'm continuing to go through the Edexcel Foundation Tier Maths Paper 3 from 2019 and we're on question 29. I'm covering all the questions, so if you find this helpful, please consider subscribing to our channel to see our other videos. So question 29 is a bit of a word problem, and it says that Jeremy has to cover 3 tanks completely with paint. And it says that each tank is in the shape of a cylinder, so we can see one of the tanks here, with a top and a bottom. So in other words, they're not open, they've got actually, they're covered at either end. So the tank has got this diameter and this height. So Jeremy's got 7 tins of paint. Each tin of paint will cover 5 meters squared. And we want to show, has Jeremy got enough paint to cover completely 3 tanks? So we've got to show how we got our answer. So the important thing for us to do, first of all, since we're covering this tank, is we need to find the area of one tank. So to do that, what we've got is actually, each tank has got 2 ends, so which I've shaded in there. And it's also got the curved surface area bit, which I find it useful to think of it as though it's a label on a tin of beans or whatever your favourite tinned food is. So if we was to take that label off, so we need to find the area of the curved bit. If we were to take that label off, it would actually form a rectangle, and that's the best way to think about it. So first of all, I'm going to find the area of the 2 circles. So we know the formula for the area of a circle is equal to pi r squared. And what we've been given is the diameter is 1.6. Now, if the diameter is 1.6, actually, that would mean the radius is half of that. So the radius is 0.8. So that's one of the probably pitfalls, mistakes they're trying to make us make there. So we can say the area of a circle of that radius is equal to pi times the radius 0.8 squared. So let's just do that on the calculator. So I can I've got a pi button at the bottom actually there. So if I go shift and then pi, you can see it's there, times by 0.8. I'm going to press that button. Well, in fact, I've got a square button there, so I can just do that. Okay, so that's actually giving my answer in terms of pi. So that can be a little bit confusing. If I press the SD button, it actually gives it as a decimal there. So I'm going to try and write that we'll do it 4 decimal places for now. So that's going to be 2.0106. So it equals 2.0106. And because it's measured in meters and we're looking for an area, that's going to be meters squared. So the 2 ends then is going to be, the area of the 2 ends is going to be 2 times that, 2 times 2.0106. So I'm just going to take my calculator, take that value I've already got there, times it by 2. And again, it's giving me in terms of pi. I'm just going to press that again and write it again to 4 decimal places. 4.0212. 0212. So that's these 2 circles. We also need to find the area of the curved surface bit. And we know that the height is 1.8 there. So 1.8. We do need to find this length. Well, this length is actually the circumference of a circle. So that would be, if we sort of unravel that, it would be the distance all the way around the top there, which is the circumference of a circle. So that's what that bit is. Just change pen just so it doesn't get too cluttered. So that's the circumference. Across there. So we need to find out then, what is the circumference? Well, the equation for the circumference, which means, let's see if I can spell that right, circumference is equal to, that means the distance all the way around the circle, is equal to pi times by diameter. It can also be known as 2 pi r, is exactly the same. But because we've been given the diameter there, it's easier to work it from that. So the circumference is pi times 1.6. So again, we're going to do that on the calculator. So get the pi button by going shift and that one at the bottom, times 1.6. And so we get it in terms of pi there. I'm just going to use the SD button again. So to 4 decimal places, 5.0265. So that's what that was, that distance, 6.5. And now what we need to do is we need to find the area of this rectangle. So the area of the rectangle is going to be 1.8. So it's going to be the length times the width there. So 1.8 times by 5.0265. So it's always really useful to use the answer button on your calculator, or just a figure that you've got there. So I'm just going to go times by 1.8. One of the advantages of doing that is that we're not introducing any errors at this stage. We're just we're not doing any rounding up. So even though I've written the answers to 4 decimal places, actually I'm just using the figures on the calculator, and so I've not done any rounding yet. So, but to 4 decimal places, that would be 9.047, and I'd have to write that as an 8 because the next number is an 8, so it's bigger than 5 or 5 or more. So that means I add 1 onto that. So 9.0478. So what we can do now is we can say, well, what would the total surface area of the, and what was it? It was a tank. So of the tank is going to be the circles, these 2 circles here, plus this rectangle. So I'm just going to take the number I got for the 2 ends there and add it to that. So total surface area is going to be 9.0478 plus the 4.0212. So just keep that figure on the calculator and just add 4.0212, and I get that. So 13 point, again, if I do that to 4 decimal places, that actually gets a little bit more complicated because the 8 there, which is the 5th place, is going to put the 9 up to a 10. So that would mean there'd be a 0 where the 9 is, and we'd have to add 1 onto that 8 there. So that to 4 decimal places is going to be 13.0690. So 13.0690 to 4 decimal places, and that's meters squared. But we've actually got 3 tanks. So 3 tanks is going to be 3 times that figure. 3 times the 13.690. And I'm just going to use the figures on the calculator though, because it's more accurate than using the one that I've rounded up there. So just times that by 3. And I've got 39.2. I'll just do this one to 3 decimal places actually now because we're at the end of the calculation. So 39.207. 0.207. So that's the total area that I've got to paint. So let's have a look if we have enough paint. So how much paint have we got? Well, we've got 7 tins, and each tin is going to cover 5 meters. So how much paint do we have? And the answer is we've got 7 times 5, and so that's 35 meters squared. And so we can see, we're comparing these two figures, and we can see we've only got 35 meters squared, but we've got to cover 39. So it says we've got to answer this quite clearly as well. Has Jeremy got enough paint to cover completely the 3 tanks? And the answer is no, he doesn't have. And we have to say this as well, because on the marking scheme, you get something called a communication mark. So it's not enough just to do the calculation and leave it at that. We actually do have to say, no, he doesn't have enough paint. Enough paint. So we could explain it a little bit more. We could say he can only cover 35 meters squared, but he needs to cover 39.207. So we can see he definitely hasn't got enough paint there. So, and that's that question done. So it's quite a long question. There's 5 marks on it though, so it's definitely worth being able to do that question. 5 marks there. So if you can manage this one, then it's a good way to taking you to a higher grade boundary. So I hope that's been helpful to you, and if it has, please give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel. Thanks for watching.